Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Lean to Turn. I have been a little busy lately, but I'm still working on making content for you guys, and there are a few other interesting things in the works, so stay tuned for that. Recently, I received an email from Michael, and he had a few questions for me, which I'm going to be answering in this video. So, Michael is planning to relocate to Germany, and he wants to bring his Yamaha R1 with him. As far as he told me, his biggest concern seems to be the SC project exhaust and if it's within regulation. Many of you who are not from Germany probably won't know this, but Germans can take their regulations a little too seriously. Here in America, you seem to have the opposite problem. Yes, we see you, cruiser dudes, with your loud surround sound speakers. I have no doubts that all the girls want to dance on that stripper pole that you hold down to Bike Week. Anyways, back to Michael. He has an M endorsement here in the States and was wondering how or if that can be converted to a German motorcycle license. Lastly, he asked me what the bike scene is like in Germany. Well, I can tell you it is very different, but we will get into that a little later in the video. So without further delay, let's dive in. First things first, if you want to bring your bike from the States to Germany, you need to check for EU ABE on your frame, on the tag where the VIN is located. This should look anything like this. It usually starts with an E, as you can see. Then you need to get a COC document, an EC certificate of conformity, which is confirmation from the manufacturer that this vehicle was produced under the guidelines of the European Union at the time. You must get that from the manufacturer according to your specific vehicle's VIN. I personally don't think that this should be too much of an issue with a Yamaha R1 because they're just as popular in Germany. If you don't have this certificate or can't get one, you might have to do some costly modifications and get it inspected individually. This alone can cost you 3,000 euro. Aside from that, you will need more paperwork for the German customs, the title, the peer delivery report, and a transport insurance with all risk coverage. Yes, German customs wants to see that. However, the delivery company you choose to use for transporting your bike overseas should do all that for you. So, once you've got all that squared away and your bike has finally made it to Germany safe and sound, German customs will want money for importing it to the European market, so-called import fees. Usually, the way this is calculated is about a quarter of your bike's value. For example, let's say your bike is worth $4,000, then you would need to pay $1,000 before you can pick it up. Customs will give you a receipt and, of course, more paperwork. But make sure you keep these documents, as you will need it when registering and having your bike inspected in Germany. They will want to make sure your bike is safe to release to the German roads. Speaking of German roads, the myth about the German Autobahn is that it doesn't have a speed limit. However, the fact is that 70% of the Autobahn doesn't have a speed limit, but there is generally too much traffic to take full advantage of this. You won't be going full throttle like it's some kind of racetrack. You'll probably have to get to the Nürburgring for that one. From what I've seen around the area I live in, a good half, if not more, vehicles would not pass the German inspection, or what we call the TÜV. This inspection goes into way more detail about your vehicle, even down to the angle of your license plate. This brings me to the question about the SC project exhaust. The good news is, it seems like the company's website allows you to inquire about a certain certificate of conformity for your bike and exhaust model, so that it can adhere to the European market you plan on importing your bike to. This applies for all manufacturers of motorcycle parts and accessories. I can go more into detail about the process of inspection and registration in Germany, but it's all pretty boring, so unless you guys are interested in a dedicated video, I'm not going to elaborate any further. Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, you've got all your fancy paperwork. Your license plate is angled at a nice legal maximum 30 degrees, but let's not forget you need a valid German motorcycle license. So what about Michael's M endorsement? What can he do? Keine Panik. You have got some time. You're allowed to operate a vehicle with your foreign license for up to 6 months, but you must carry a translation and classification with you. Meaning, if you had a Class M license in the USA, you would have a Class A in Germany. There are services that do that, like the ADAC. Within those 6 months, you must go to the German equivalent of the DMV and get your license converted, or not. I briefly looked into the regulations for license conversion, and unfortunately, if you're not from Texas or Virginia, you would need to start from scratch for your motorcycle license. Going to driving school, written exam, practice exam, etc., etc. The costs for all that are around 2,000 euros. This, of course, would require you to learn German fluently before pursuing all this. The good news is, if you're not too confident about taking the exams in German and you happen to be relocating to Berlin, they offer all that in English as well. In fact, I would say if you are planning to put some hard time into learning the German language, you will be far better off going to Berlin. Overall, it is more accommodating to English speakers. So, after all this, you must decide for yourself if your bike is worth all that hassle and money. I didn't bring my bikes for the same exact reasons. Customs, import fees, etc. All of these are horrendous, and on top of that, there was no guarantee whatsoever to get my bikes through US Customs. I personally don't think it is worth it, and you are far better off purchasing a bike in Germany that already meets all these standards. Depending on the year of Michael's Yamaha R1, you can buy one in Germany starting at around 2,000 euros. You could easily sell your R1 here in the States for the cost of one in Germany, and even on the used market, you don't have as many concerns, if any, about the quality of the vehicle you are getting thanks to all the regulations. Now, this next topic may offend some people. However, please be aware that I can only speak from my personal experiences in the areas that I have lived in. How is the bike scene in Germany compared to the USA? In my opinion, the bike scene in the US is a bit of a joke. Now, before you come at me in the comments, let me explain why I think this is. Most of what I have seen here are posers and show-offs with their stretched and lowered busas riding up and down town with their huge chicken strips, making their tires bald in the center because they are too afraid to lean these big hulking status symbols. Now look, I know not everyone's version of a bike tour is riding around the Walmart parking lot, revving your engine and blaring music with bass so aggressive that it registers as seismic activity, in hopes that some pretty single mom might notice you. I see you, touring guys, and I appreciate that you don't change no matter what country you're in. But there's virtually no passion for the hobby and nobody wears their gear. Back in Germany, I was able to ride almost every weekend with a group of 3 to 8 people. Sometimes sporty, sometimes more chill. Every time you encounter other riders, they're friendly. You connect with each other. There's no hatred from cruisers against sports bikes or vice versa. Everyone just rides because it's what they love to do. I will admit there's a lack of events for riders, but there's no lack of destinations and people spontaneously make their own events. No need for topless girls serving alcohol or who has the most ridiculous bike parades to draw interest. It truly feels more like a hobby. You don't see riders around town unless they're leaving or coming back after hours and hours of riding. It is this heart and soul for the hobby that I miss the most. They are a lifestyle. Anyways, guys, I hope that answers some of your questions. And again, I am not saying American bikers or the bike culture as a whole is bad, but it is very different, and so are the motivations of the riders. If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you disagree with something, comment down below. I'm open to having a constructive discussion. And Michael, just sell the bike, man. Get a new one in Germany. You have more than enough paperwork to look forward to if you actually do decide to move. Thank you for your email. I hope I answered all your questions. Keep the rubber down and the smile up. We'll see each other on the road.